The Gap and the Gain, Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. The hidden trap of success. Most people believe progress should feel good. Work harder, achieve more, move forward, and then feel satisfied. But something strange happens. Even after progress, even after improvement, even after success, many people still feel behind, still dissatisfied, still incomplete. This is the problem the Gap and the Gain exposes. You can be winning and still feel like you're losing. The Gap versus the Gain. The core idea of the book is simple but powerful. There are two ways to measure your life. The Gap. You compare yourself to an ideal. Who you should be, what you haven't achieved, how far you still have to go. This creates constant dissatisfaction because the ideal keeps moving. No matter how much you achieve, it never feels enough. The Gain. You compare yourself to where you started, what you've improved, what you've built, how far you've come. This creates confidence because progress becomes visible. The difference between happiness and frustration is not your results, is how you measure them. Why high achievers feel unhappy. This idea becomes even more powerful when applied to ambitious people. High achievers constantly set new goals. They improve, they grow, they succeed. But instead of celebrating progress, they immediately raise the standard. They move the finish line. So they live in the gap, always chasing, never arriving. The very mindset that drives success becomes the reason they feel unfulfilled. The moving target problem. Imagine aiming at a target. You hit it, but the moment you succeed, the target moves further away. Now your success feels like failure. This is what living in the gap feels like. Your expectations expand faster than your achievements, so satisfaction disappears. The psychology of progress. Human motivation depends on progress. When we see improvement, we feel encouraged. When we feel stuck, motivation disappears. But here's the problem. If you measure yourself against an ideal, progress becomes invisible. Because the ideal is always ahead. You never feel like you're moving. But when you measure backward against your past, progress becomes clear. And clarity creates momentum. The power of measuring backward. One of the simplest but most powerful habits in the book is this. Measure your progress backward, not forward. Ask yourself, where was I 1 year ago? What have I learned? What have I improved? What problems have I solved? This changes everything because now your brain sees growth. And when the brain sees growth, it produces motivation, confidence, and satisfaction. Gratitude as a mental framework. Living in the gain naturally creates gratitude, not forced positivity, not pretending everything is perfect, but genuine recognition of progress. Gratitude shifts attention from what is missing to what is already present, from lack to abundance, from pressure to appreciation. It doesn't reduce ambition, it stabilizes it. Confidence comes from evidence. Most people try to build confidence through thinking. I believe in myself. I can do this. But confidence built on words is fragile. Real confidence comes from evidence. Proof of progress, achievements, growth, experience. When you track your gains, you create evidence. And that evidence builds unshakable confidence. The role of identity. The way you measure progress shapes your identity. If you live in the gap, your identity becomes, I'm not enough. I need to improve. I'm behind. But if you live in the gain, your identity becomes, I'm growing. I'm improving. I'm capable. Your identity is not fixed. It is built from the story you tell about your progress. Why goals alone are not enough. Goals are important. They give direction, but they also create a problem. Goals focus your attention on what you don't have yet. They highlight the gap. So while goals drive action, they can reduce satisfaction. The solution is balance. Use goals for direction. Use gains for motivation. Rewriting your mental scorecard. Most people keep a mental scoreboard, but it is usually unfair. They track mistakes. They remember failures. They ignore progress. The book suggests changing the scoreboard. Track wins. Track improvements. Track lessons learned. This creates a more accurate and empowering view of reality. The compound effect of small wins. Progress is not always dramatic. Often it is small, subtle improvements, quiet growth, incremental changes. But over time, these small gains compound. They create significant transformation. The challenge is noticing them. Living in the gain trains your mind to see small progress. And small progress builds long-term success. Escaping the comparison trap. The gap is often fueled by comparison. You compare yourself to others, their success, their lifestyle, their results. But comparison is misleading. You see their highlights. You ignore their struggles. Living in the gain shifts focus back to your own journey, your growth, your path, your progress. Emotional consequences of the gap. Living in the gap creates anxiety, frustration, self-doubt, burnout, because you're constantly measuring what is missing. It creates pressure without satisfaction. It turns success into stress. Emotional power of the gain. Living in the gain creates confidence, motivation, gratitude, clarity, because you are recognizing progress. It turns effort into reward. It transforms the experience of growth. A practical shift. The shift from gap to gain is simple, but not automatic. It requires awareness. At the end of each day, week, or month, ask, what did I accomplish? What did I learn? How did I improve? These questions retrain your brain. They shift your focus from lack to growth. The freedom of enough. One of the deepest ideas in the book is this. You can pursue more while feeling like you are already enough. Ambition and satisfaction can coexist. You can grow without feeling incomplete. You can aim higher without feeling behind. This balance creates sustainable success. Designing a gain-oriented life. To live in the gain consistently. Reflect regularly on progress. Track achievements and improvements. Limit unnecessary comparison. Celebrate small wins. Use goals as direction, not judgment. These habits create a stable foundation for growth. Most people believe happiness comes after success, but the gap in the gain reveals a different truth. Happiness comes from recognizing progress. You don't need to achieve everything. You need to see how far you've come. Because when you measure your life correctly, everything changes. You're not behind. You are moving forward. And that realization is the beginning of both confidence and fulfillment. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Like if you just realize you're doing better than you think. Comment, what's one thing you've achieved that you don't give yourself credit for? Subscribe. Your mindset will thank you later. Share this with someone who feels like they're falling behind.